All right, welcome everybody. Today we're going to be talking about how to make a dynamic material instance. This is a pretty cool thing, and there's a lot of possibilities you can do with it. You can make materials react to the player in real time. So for example, you prime a grenade, you throw it, it explodes, and then the walls around it are covered in ash. You can use decals for it, but you can actually have the material itself respond to whatever code you're doing. So today we're just going to make a very simple reaction that when you go up and you touch a box, it'll change colors. And once you kind of see how to do that, then you can see how to make it work with anything. I might add some ash to it as well. So we got our little box here. Right now its material is just basic shape material. So we're going to go and make a new material. This, and I'm going to call this ash matte. I don't know. And we're going to start off, because we're going to finish with it being ashy. Right now we're just going to start off with it just being a color. We'll start off with it being like a yellow color like this, and hook it up, and just we get a really basic plastic yellow color, and snap it up here, and drag it out to here, and we got a yellow box. So far, very basic. It's about as simple as a material as you can get. Now what we want is this color to change when the player touches it. So in order to do this, you have to go from having a static constant, is what this is called, a constant. By the way, if you're curious what node this is a constant 3 vector. The shortcut for it is holding down 3 and clicking, and that'll give you a color picker. So a constant is fixed. That's why it's called constant. Every time you change one of these values, like if you want to, I don't like that color, I want to change it to like orange or something. It's pink. There we go, nice orange color. You have to recompile it. So you have to save and recompile the thing for it to work. And so it's hard-coded into the shader. So when you make a material like this, you're actually making a program. It doesn't look like a program, but it's a program called a shader. And this orange color is hard-coded into the shader. And so every time it changes, you have to recompile it. And you can see it takes a couple seconds. So if you want it to be dynamic, if you want this thing to be able to change in real time, then you need to convert this to something called a parameter, like this. Right-click on the node, choose Convert to Parameter. And I'm going to call this node color. And now, save, compile. Now this number is being passed in to the shader. And so the shader itself can accept any RGB colors that you want. And if we come back out here, right-click on Ash Matte, and choose Create Material Instance from it, then I can override this color in real time, and you can see the material is reacting in real time as I'm changing the colors here. Right now, this is still orange because it's on the original Ash Matte, not Ash Matte instance. So if I drag that out there and snap this over to here, let's do this. Have a color picker. You can see that in the editor itself, I don't have to keep recompiling it every time. I can simply just drag the colors around. You'll see it instantly get updated on the map. So that is, I have a whole lecture on material instances. That's not exactly what we're doing today. We're going a step beyond it. So the step beyond is to have our code control the colors instead of me in the editor dragging it around, which is nice. Like I can sit there and pick out the exact color I want without having to re-save and recheck every time I pick a different color. I can actually have the code itself react to me touching it or exploding it or whatever kind of event I want, and have the color change as a result of it. So I'm going to turn this box into a blueprint. I'm going to click up here, and I'm going to call this guy Ash Box BP in my build directory, and here we go, and here we go. So there's 2 steps to making a dynamic material instance. The first is to create what's called a dynamic material instance, and that up here, move you up out of the way here. And what this is going to do is it is going to, what I call Ash Matte. I don't need the material instance actually anymore. It's on here, and the U. We're going to do this in code now. So Ash Matte, there we go, Ash Matte, ash box. Okay, so ash mat is going to be turned into a dynamic material instance, which means it's going to be controllable by the blueprints. This blueprint, in fact. And the output here is going to be, we're going to call set material on the static mesh component. And so our box, again, get this guy out of the way here. So our box is going to have its 0 index material changed to be this brand new dynamic material thing here. What is material 0? It's this one. See, element 0 here is ash mat. That's going to get replaced with this newly minted dynamic material instance here. If you have multiple materials, then you could set them by specifying the index right there. But we only have 0, the first one, so we're done. So that's step 1. Step 1 is on BeginPlay, create a dynamic material instance out of whatever your material is. And then step 2 is, well, what do you want to have happen? So I want the box to change colors when I touch it. So that sounds like event hit to me, like that. And as always, whenever I do anything with collisions or overlapping or physics or anything in that genre in Unreal Engine, I always check to make sure that it's working correctly. If you have some setting somewhere with a checkbox off, you'll go up, you'll touch it, and nothing will happen. And then you don't know, is my dynamic material instance code not working, or is it just not registering an event? So the first thing we always do here is do a print string. In fact, I'm actually going to do the cast to third-person character first, because I want this thing only to react to me. If I touch it, I don't want it reacting to other things. And so basically, if I touch it, then whatever comes off this top pin here is going to be executed. If anything else touches it, if I shoot a projectile and it hits it, that thing is not a third-person character. It'll come off here. I'm going to ignore that whole branch because we don't care if anything else touches it. We only want, when we touch it, for it to change colors. So the first thing we always do is just do a print string like this. And I'll just leave it as hello because that's about to be... Yeah, I need to hook you up. Thank you. Come over here. And then if we do this right, when I walk up and touch it, it'll print hello. And there we go. In fact, we're getting infinite hellos, right? Like every frame is generating a hello, which is probably a little bit too much for us. So I might even just cut that down a little bit. I'll just do a little hack thing here. Add in a delay node. And we're going to limit this to just 10 a second. Like that. Okay. This is not the best way of doing it, but it's quick, it's easy, it's fast. It's going to take longer for the thing to load with all my foliage in than it will for, there we go, for me to actually write that code. And so you see we are now getting a much more gradual rate of hellos being printed. Okay, so good, it works, done. Reroute node. If I can click on you, there we go. Reroute node around here. Good enough. Okay. So now I want to actually do the thing. This is the moment we've all been waiting for, is when we touch it, we want to change the color. How do we do that? And so there is a, if you look at the description here, you'd see I've got all these things listed in the description, so you don't have to necessarily pause. But we are going to be setting a parameter on material, and we're going to be setting a vector parameter value on materials like this, and look that up. And this is the part where you can mess up. Okay, so you have to go back into the material and you have to look at the name of the parameter. The name of the parameter is color. And one trick I like to do is just Control-C, copy that, come into here and paste it, so that if I spelled it with a British U or something like that, that it would be copied correctly. If you don't type in the parameter name correct, it's not going to work. So make sure it's letter for letter exactly the same. And then I'm going to change it to, I don't know, X is actually our 0.2, 0.4, 0.6. I have no idea what color that is. Let's find out. So I'm going to save this, go over here. RGB is X, Y, Z. So in the shader world, X, Y, and Z are literally the same as RGB. So don't be confused by the fact that, there we go. So we're getting more blue, a little bit of red, a little more green, and more blue. So it's actually a very pleasant kind of sky blue as a result of it. So even though this says XYZ here, it's still RGB. And so it's a vector parameter. It's 3 values. Okay. It's a 3 vector. I'm going to delete this now and save it. And I'm going to come back into a material here. Now I'm actually going to put ash on it. So this is how I kind of like to start these kinds of projects. Just a very simple material, just color. Boom, color changes. All right, we got it working. Now we are going to actually do a real material. I'm going to do a wooden box, I guess, that is going to search for oak. A little oak here. Look it up. See how that looks. Looks pretty good. Kind of shiny. Spec, holding down 1, clicking. Spec of 0 is way too matte. I don't know what kind of wood I want. And then holding down 1 and clicking. Roughness on here. That's a very shiny oak floor. It's got like a wax. It looks like somebody's waxed it a little bit. I don't know, maybe I'll make this one shiny. I don't know, I kind of like that. A little less. Yeah, kind of like that. Okay, it's pretty. And then I'm going to need a normal map, T and click. And then I'm going to come over here, type in oak again, and search for the normal map. We have 2 oak normal maps. Okay. That's the one in the starter content, so I'll use that one. And now you can see that there are indentations on it from the normal map. They're not real. The thing is completely smooth if you look at it on a profile, but it simulates using the normal map that bumps and grooves and things like that. It's pretty cool. So it's already looking not bad. Now what I want is a parameter that will, as I turn the parameter up, it will make it progressively more grimy. And there's a lot of ways you can do this. There's a lot of tools at your disposal. There's add and multiply and subtract and lerp. These are your basic tools. Yeah, we'll save everything. Thank you. These are your basic tools for mixing and matching different textures together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another texture sample here. I'm going to pull in some Perlin noise. And I'm going to start off with just adding it to it. And now you can see this thing is completely covered in ash, right? So maybe before we add to it, pull off from here, do a multiply. Shortcut for multiply is holding down M and then clicking. Do that. And if we multiply it by 0, you can see we have our oak surface. And if we set it at 0.5, it's now mostly covered in ash. And at 10, it's completely covered in ash. So we can play with different values here, see what it looks like as it gets more and more ashy. Yeah, this looks all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the pen, watch this, and I'm going to choose promote to parameter. Promote to parameter. There we go. So the constant is now, wrong thing. The constant is now a parameter. And this parameter is called B. No, I don't like that. We will call this dirt level. And I'm going to copy that because I'm about to fix it back in the code. It's going to default to 0. So here we have, I'm going to set this to 0 to 1 just in case I'm ever going to slide it back and forth. You don't need to do that. It's going to default to 0. And so everything's saved. If we look out here, we now have this very nice wooden box that's nice and shiny. I don't know if you can see the sheen on it there. Yeah, there you go. You can see the sheen on it. Okay. And then what we're going to do is after we touch it, we're going to add a little bit of ash to it. So I'm going to make a variable that is going to track our ashiness. Why not? Ashiness is a word, I'm sure. And this will be a float, and I could make it public if I'm going to have somebody else messing with it, but like a grenade or a rocket that could, you know, when it hits it, it's all covered in ash. I could make this public. For now, I'm just, when the player touches it. So we're good here. Ashiness, save, compile, it's defaulting to 0, which is perfect. So I'm going to get my ashiness level, and I'm going to add to my ashiness level. 0.1, that might be too much. 0.05 seems to get ashy pretty quickly, so I'm going to slow down a little bit. Might even slow down more. And then I'm going to drag ashiness onto the ending pin here. That makes a set node for me automatically. Drag this across here, and now every 10 times a second, it's going to add 0.05 to the ashiness of the box. You're going to see it become progressively ashier at a frame rate of 10. And then I need to set the material parameter again. So I'm going to set this is going to be a scalar parameter value on materials, because it's a scalar is a fancy word of saying a number. So a scalar is just a single number. A vector is more than one number. That's all scalar and vector mean. They are very fancy terms for very simple concepts. And so I'm just going to set that. I control C earlier. I'm going to control V, dirt level, boom, there it is. And this should work. Let's find out. I'm sure it'll work. I'm confident it'll work the very first time I do this. All right, can it come in here? And as we touch it, you can see it gets covered in ash. Pretty cool. All right. So if we want to go the other way and have it darken with like black soot instead of white ash, we can use the Perlin noise a different way. So let's take these out, and maybe we'll add a black color here for the ash. And holding down M and clicking, so the Perlin noise is going to come in here, and then holding down L and clicking for lerp. So we're going to lerp between the wood and the black using the Perlin noise to pick between them. So if I set this to, oh, I have this backwards. Oh, well, it's not hooked up. That's why it's black. Okay, there we go. So I did have it correct the first time. There we go. All right. So, so when we have 0, it is going to be the wood. When we have 1, it's going to lerp between. It's going to use the Perlin noise to pick between the oak and the black color. You can see it's a nice sooty kind of black now. And as we keep going up and up and up, you will see it becomes progressively more black and charcoaled. So this seems pretty good to me. We'll just try that out here. Dirt level is still the same. We didn't change that. Oh, the default level I'm going to put back to 0. Sorry. And then come back over here. And you can use this not just for, you know, dirt. You can use it for, see it? Kind of cool, right? Kind of cool. I like it. You can use it for a lot of things. You can use it for transparency. You can make objects fade away over time. You can, if you have a Fresnel effect, which is like how light bends through a surface, you can mess with the Fresnel levels and create cool optical illusions. You can just have, like if you tie it to emissive, like maybe we'll do that. So emissive color. This is going to be not ash. It'll be maybe radioactive. Let's see. Some room in here. Make it like a radioactive green color. That's going to get multiplied by a new parameter. B. We're going to call you emissive strength. And again, I'm going to copy it. This will range from 0 to 100. Again, the min and max don't really matter until you're playing with it like a material instance. But then we're going to hook that up to emissive color. So it's going to default to 0. So by default, you're not going to see any difference. But if I turn up the emissive strength like 10, then you can see it's now a radiating like nuclear reactor kind of color. Let's see. Let's see if that's exactly the color. Maybe Cherenkov radiation is maybe a little more bluish. I think. Is it? Spell that. Spell it. More bluish. But like everybody thinks of radiation as green. Like in video games, it's always green, right? That's a little bit. With that. Okay, that looks about right. For video game radiation, right? And so we're going to multiply that and we're set the default value back down to 0. And there we go. And so in our blueprint over here, we can make it so that maybe if somebody not the player touches it. Yeah, let's do that. So if, I don't know if this is going to work though. Let's try it. Okay, print string. Hello. So if somebody not the player touches it, I'll just put another box out here. Maybe we'll like try kicking it in or something, and we'll turn physics on that. A lot of times the physics doesn't generate hit events. So we have to turn that on. That checkbox there makes it generate hit events. I'm not confident this is going to work though. We'll try that. Try kicking it in, see if we get a hello out of it. Nope, no hello. Yeah. How else could we do this? Yeah, we could just not do the dirt. We just make it glow instead. This will be fun. Okay, so instead we are going to actually use the Ashiness. Right? Instead of this one, I'll just disconnect that. Control clicking. We'll do a set scalar parameter value on materials. Don't need the duplicate here. Instead, hooking you up to here. And the parameter name, Control V, emissive strength, and the value is going to be Ashiness. I'm just going to reuse that. This might grow a little bit too slowly. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to come up here and touch it. Yeah, there you go. You can see it starts glowing. The longer we touch it, you just make the thing grow brighter and brighter and brighter. It's going to start, yeah, like there's no cap on this, right? So it's just going to get progressively more intense the longer. I'm holding down walk right now, by the way. I'm walking into it right now. And so the emissive strength is just going to get brighter and brighter over time. And you can see that it's actually affecting, like, you can see the reflection off the back of Quinn here from quite a ways away. And so, yeah, basically the point is that like you can use the anywhere you have a parameter, you can have blueprints control that value. And so basically almost anything inside of your material you can play with. You can make it shinier. You can make these parameters. You can make it more specky. You know, specular reflection is that little circular reflection there. That's called specular highlight. So you can make it more specky where it looks more shiny or less. And same thing for roughness. You can make it a polished, make a polished surface, or not. It's just entirely up to Control Z. Thank you. Just whatever it is you want to do in your code, and it's just a really powerful, really nice functionality that just requires, again, 2 steps. First step, doing this little thing here. Create a dynamic material instance that allows you to adjust it in code, and then it doesn't have to be event hit. Like I said, any entry point into the code, you can just call this thing here set scalar parameter value or set vector parameter value on materials, and then just change those numbers however you want. That's it for today. Your homework is to do this. See you guys.